My name is Michaela Vosmera and my presentation is on Walker Evans. Walker Evans was a man of talent to transform ordinary objects into poetic subjects. Born on November 3, 1903 in St. Louis, Missouri, as a child he and his family were constantly on the road from Toledo, Ohio, and finally establishing themselves in Kensworth, Illinois. Walker graduated from Phil's Academy in 1922, pursuing his aspirations to becoming a writer. Evan moved from Paris to work as an editor at the San Ronin after dropping out of Williams College in 1926. In 1927, Walker returned from Paris to New York with a stronger background in literature. With an emphasis on European modernism, he gradually moved towards the idea of photography and the realism of people in the 1930s after the stock market dropped. Many people and families were forced on the road searching for hope and guidance. Evans' photography had a way of bringing out emotional turmoil as if the viewer could feel the pain they must have felt. He was more interested in modern life than in the modernity was leaving in the dust. In 1935, Walker worked on the U.S. Department of Interior to photography of government resettlement communities. Alongside Walker, other artists like Dorothy Lange worked in documentary photography of Royal during the Depression. His photographs of roadside architecture, churches, and small-town barbers revealed a deep respect for the neglected traditions of the common man and secured his reputation as an American permanent documentarian. In September 1938, the Museum of Modern Art opened American Photographer, a retrospect of Evans' first dedication to photography. Between 1934 and 1965, Evan contributed more than 400 photos and 45 articles published in Fortune magazine. This is one of Walker's most famous and well-known photos taken in 1941 of Aline Mae Burgos. He worked at the Lux magazine as a special photographer editor from 1945 to 1965, helping create portfolios. His elegant, crystal-clear photography influenced a wide range of camera artists, including Helen Leviat, Robert Frank, Diane Arbus, and Lee Friedlander. His subjects on the surface required a motive behind it and a symbolism of how the Great Depression can cause an emotional response from his viewers. Walker died in his home in New Haven, Connecticut in 1975, but his legacy will live on forever. Metropolitan Museum of Art is the sole copyright holder of all work and art in all media of Walker Evans. The only exception is a group of approximately 1,000 negatives is collected in the Library of Congress, which were produced in the Resettlement Administration and Farm Security Administration. In 2000, Evans was inducted in the State Louis Walk of Fame. Walker Evans' legacy lives on through his art of photography, reaching out to all of us, providing a story of his past that can live on through the future through his photography.
In 1938, the museum organized its first one-person photography exhibit, and it was called Walker Evans American Photographs. The exhibition, and perhaps even more significantly, the book that accompanied it, were really the first signal of the museum's embrace of an individual photographic achievement as fine art. So it seemed important to mark the 75th anniversary in a new way with a new exhibit dedicated to the pictures that were in the book and the show. Evans was interested in these specific local manifestations, but of still what would be considered a distinctly American culture, but also sort of what bubbled up from below, what the vernacular or indigenous culture might mean. If you're looking closely, the pictures along the south wall all evoke something of the American people and their built environment. On the north side, by contrast, are pictures that are drawn from the second part of American Photographs, where Evans really was looking at an architectural identity for the United States. But within any particular grouping, you'll see a motif, often one that Evans himself had identified, where you might be looking at a picture of junked cars and then a sort of hand-scrawled sign that says gas, and then a picture of a snapshot of real people in a car. These kinds of sequences and this repetition of motifs would have been something that Evans did in the book, also in the exhibition, and that we have suggested here through this installation. I think what's amazing is the malleability of these images, the idea that next to certain images they might mean one thing and next to others they might mean another. And I think that that's something that's really interesting about Evans' work, is that it's almost like a style that reads as no style. And he absolutely was very conscious of that.